Welcome to Ibercaja, where today we have the honor of interviewing one of the key figures in behavioral finance, Professor Meir Statman. Throughout his career, Professor Statman has provided revolutionary insights into the relationship between our emotions, the financial decisions we make, and our overall well-being. He seized this opportunity to discuss his book, The Value of Well-being, and explore how his ideas can help us make better financial decisions that bring us closer to a more stable and balanced life. Thank you very much, Professor Statman, for being here with us at Ibercaja. It's an honor to have the opportunity to chat with you about some of the most important issues you address in your last book, The Value of Well-being. And to begin with, could you give us an overview of what the concept of well-being means to you?
So when we usually speak about well-being, we begin with things like family, like health, like work. And then we speak about money. And of course, financial well-being, money, underlies all of these. That is, you need money for family, you need money for health, you need money for education. But what is important is always to remember that while money is important by itself, and important in supporting other domains of life, like family, it is really well-being, life well-being, that matters in the end. And that should be the focus rather than just the money.
In fact, in your book, you discuss this holistic approach to well-being that goes beyond money. In fact, you say that money is not everything. How can we balance our economic decisions as balancing expenses and savings, as you said, with other essential aspects of life, such as personal relationships or personal development?
Well, so I think about those aspects, those domains of well-being as being like investments in an overall portfolio. And so when we invest, we know that some stocks will do well and some will not. And so each family, each person has points of pain. There are some domains that are not perfect. There might be a disabled child. There might be a health problem. So what we do is we try to balance it all and look at the world, look at our world as a whole, and use a kind of surplus from those domains that are especially good to compensate for those that are not. And so if you have a disabled child, but you have enough money to support that child, it feels, of course, much better than if you have a disabled child and no money. And the same applies to work versus life, as we talk about a work-life balance. And it really is one where you kind of think about your life as a whole, rather than focus on those things that are going poorly or going very well.
Yeah, I see it's a matter of life balance.
It is a life balance, yeah, and there's no formula to it, but
Yeah.
but I think that we all kind of get it intuitively.
Yeah, and one of the most fascinating points you explore in your book is how our emotions affect our financial decisions. What impact do fear and euphoria have on our investment choices, and what strategies do you recommend for managing them?
So people often talks about emotions as emotional errors. And they say, when you invest, set aside your emotions. You cannot set aside your emotions. Second, emotions are in you for good reason, because they help you, not because they get in the way. And so it is good For example, when somebody offers you an investment that is going to double every year, it is good that fear is going to be saying to you, don't do that, because this is going to end up very badly. And so emotions generally help. But sometimes they can, of course, hurt. Sometimes they turn into errors. And so you can see how, as your mother, I'm sure, told you, when you are angry, count till 10 before you open your mouth. Same thing, when you are angry, when it comes to issues of money, buying a stock, selling a stock, wait, let your cognition, let your thinking get in between, and then proceed cautiously based on that. So we humans have that dual system where we can think, we can have those emotions, and we can kind of stop ourselves and say, does this really make sense before we proceed?
Meir, people often wonder where to start to improve their financial well-being. What key advice would you give to someone looking to take control of their finance?
Well, it is, again, important to think about risk in a holistic fashion. So when people are young, I think that the most important investment we make is in ourselves, not in the stock market or real estate, and it is in education, thinking about what the future might bring, and getting yourself ready for it, and checking things. You know, sometimes you get, say at the university, you get into one subject and you think that that's to be the one, and then you find out that no, that's not really very interesting, and so you might move from business to engineering, or from engineering to business, and that is all good. Now, when you have income, when you begin working, of course, then it is a matter of the balance between saving and spending. And again, you don't have to deprive yourself when you are young. Go out with friends to restaurants, go out to ball games, but be mindful, you know, put some money aside. Remember, one day you will be old, one day you will not be working, and you will need that money. That balance is not a formula, but I think that if you have self-control, if you are conscientious about it, you realize that there is tomorrow, and you have to get yourself ready for tomorrow while you also treat yourself well in the present.
Let's move to other issue regarding your book, of course, and your experience. In this era of uncertainty and volatility, many people are reevaluating their priorities on financial habits. From your perspective, what lessons about financial well-being should be drawn from these turbulent years, and how can we apply them in the future? And even beyond that, what can be the main lessons to improve our global well-being?
So first, on financial well-being, issues of investments are actually very simple. So it is really very important to think about finance as a science. It's not a philosophy, it is a science. And we have facts that are established by empirical evidence. And so, for example, when I am afraid, I might have the instinct of, I want to sell whatever it is real estate or stocks or bonds. Evidence suggests that is a bad thing to do, that you are better off buying and holding. So when I'm afraid about my investment, when the world is in very fearful position, I just remind myself, you know, I step aside and I say, wait, don't do anything. And so I have a diversified portfolio, and I pretty much leave it alone. Yeah. I think that what people tend to do often is that they think that if something happens, they have to respond. Yeah. Don't respond in this way. Yeah. And then, of course, think about well-being in its broader sense, in life well-being, and see how you can improve your financial well-being so that you can support your life well-being.
Okay, understood. And looking ahead, how do you see the evolution of the concept of well-being impacting society? Do you think that more people and companies are becoming concerned about integrating this approach into their strategies and future plans?
I think so. I think that companies, banks, financial advisors really move beyond helping people with their financial well-being, that is planning how much they can spend and how much they need to save and how to invest, to asking themselves, what do we know about this person and how can we help this person attain higher life well-being? So it is important to know your clients, students, as people. People come to it with things like, as I mentioned, a disabled child. Well, a disabled child is an issue. Of course, it has a financial aspects to it because you have to prepare for that child. The same thing about marriage, same thing about work and education. So all of these have the financial aspects and the life aspects. And if you're going to help people, you really have to help them all the way from the financial to the life aspects, such that you help them in total rather than in just one aspect of their life.
Let me ask you some short questions about concepts that I have heard from you and personally I think are essential in life. One is, it's better to have money or good companions in life?
Well, we need both. So it is not money or friendship. It is not money or family. You need money. You don't need a ton of money, but you, of course, need family and you need friends. All of those aspects should come together.
Yeah. And ambition, is ambition a bad feeling or a bad personality trait?
Well, ambition, you can think about it as an emotion, but it is a point of not being satisfied with what you have. And so if you are beginning your work life and you, of course, begin at the bottom, it is good to be ambitious and think, in 5 years I would like to be a team leader, and in 10 years I would like to be perhaps the chief financial officer of a company. That is uncomfortable while you are at it because you are far from what you want to achieve. Ambition pushes you to work harder. The art of life, I think, is that as you move on, as you grow older, to really realize that you have achieved a good amount, that perhaps it is time to be happy with what you have, rather than continue to be ambitious and gathering more. And so some people, of course, we know, who have tons of money, but they are still pushing for more because they are ambitious, because they compare themselves to other people who have more. If we can stop ourselves from doing so, I think that we can enhance our well-being.
Okay. Well, one thing that I find fascinating is sharing benefits. How important is to share your benefits of any kind with others?
I think that it is really very important in our well-being, to enhance the well-being of other people. And so, for example, just listening to people describe their problems, their pains, and offering empathy and understanding is helping them, and it helps you because you now see yourself as somebody who is a good person, who is helping. And then, if you can help other people with money, charitable contributions, and you can help with volunteer work in those areas where you can improve people's lives. And again, money is for you and money is for others. And if we are fortunate enough to have enough to support others, that is wonderful. And most people, most of the time, have enough to support themselves and others. And it is important to learn to give early on. Here's a quick story. When our children were little, we would give them some money to contribute to charity. At some point, we didn't have to give them money anymore. They had the habit, and they understood the joy of really helping other people without their parents having to push them.
Recently, Meir, you wrote a brilliant article in the Wall Street Journal explaining your reflections about risks in life. Can you make us a brief summary of that, please?
Well, you know, I often say that the biggest risks in life, of course, are not in money. They are in marriage, they are in children, but even more so, think about career risk versus financial risk. The most rewarding risk you can take is probably in career risk, that is getting yourself ready for a profession or perhaps for business. This is what I did. This is the risk that paid off for me. And there's social risk. Many of us, especially men, tend to be on the shy side. We take a bit of time and effort to break out, to learn how to speak to people, to approach people, to start a conversation and friendship. And that brings us benefit just as friendship does, but it also brings some financial benefits because you're going to find out about job opportunities and investment opportunities and other things that can enhance your well-being.
Mm-hmm. Great. And finally, please give us some recommendations, even from your own experience, why not, in order to go through life as happily as possible.
Well, again, you will never be at this peak happiness. And happiness by itself is kind of momentary. But what you want is well-being. And what you want is to reflect on your life and ask yourself, how are your domains working? How are things with your family? How are things with friends and work and health? And learn to balance things also in your thinking and realize that at every moment there might be some domain that is painful, like work that is not satisfying, and then ask yourself, what can you do to increase happiness in that domain, in work, like switching, and life in general. It's not the end of the world if you are in a work that is not satisfying. It just means that you have the push to look for something better.
Again, it's a matter of life balance.
It is a matter of life balance. And again, there is no formula to it. But I think that we all get it, and we can help one another, because when somebody tells us about their points of pain, we can share our points of pain, and they understand that they are not alone in that pain, and we kind of comfort one another, and in this way we enhance our well-being and other people's well-being.
Great. Professor, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Your insights on well-being and finance, along with the publication of your book, encourage us to reflect on how we can enhance our quality of life through more conscious and balanced decisions. Thank you very much for sharing your time and wisdom with us.
Well, thank you, Diego, and Iber Kacha.